Hello and welcome back to Asia Now. Let's take a break from the news, and today we're going to read today's question, read some of the top comments, and stick around till the end. I'm going to tell you guys my personal thoughts about cost of living and whether it's still worth it to come to the Philippines. Here's the question. Good day, a new hot topic for discussion that's not repetitive. Sorry, but it's true. Anyway, 2 years ago when I started doing research on the Philippines regarding living costs for a foreigner, it all seemed quite positive from what I heard and was told. However, lately I'm hearing different stories that living in some areas can be equivalent to living in our own Western countries. Food is becoming more expensive, accommodation is skyrocketing, renting or buying, daily living costs have risen. This question is for all the foreigners who have been living there for 5 years plus. Regardless of whether you're living in the city or the province life, how much have you noticed a difference in your living costs compared to when you first arrived? Has your living costs substantially risen or is it minimal? What are we talking about in monthly terms, approximately? An age-old question regarding cost of living, but I like the fact that he's very specific, letting us all know it's not about cost of living, it's about comparing it to a few years ago. So I've been coming in and out of the Philippines for 6 years now. I'm going to tell you guys my personal thoughts in a second, but let's go ahead and dive into the comment section. Take a second though, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Here's the top comments. Gentleman responds and says, I lived in a small house in a subdivision, 8,000 pesos a month. You can buy food at the wet market. You don't need to waste money going to the mall. You have cheap vegetables, can cook nice food. It's so easy, just take the choices which are wise. Don't think you need to have an aircon, travel by taxi, eat Western food every day. We have to change our standards and lifestyle. We cannot be stubborn morons who think they can export their culture to everywhere else. I think Buddy here missed the point. Okay, I got a lot of likes. I know what he's saying. Basically adjust your expectations and live like a local so you can save money. I agree with all that, but I don't think that's the question. The question is really about inflation and how much prices have changed. Of course, like anywhere in the world, you can save as much money if you're frugal and do things yourself. But let's go on and read some more things that's more specific to the question itself. Someone said inflation is pretty bad here. An example, when I arrived 3 years ago, potatoes were 90 pesos a kilo, now 140 pesos a kilo. An excellent example with an actual item plus prices compared to 3 years ago. I've noticed vegetables and fruits tend to be a bit pricier compared to neighboring countries in the Philippines. I assume it's due to all the typhoons, maybe imports, exports, taxes, tariffs. There's a lot that I don't know simply, but it just something obvious to me when I came here in the Philippines, even like years ago compared to now. The only fruits I find kind of affordable in comparison is papaya and bananas. So banana, right? So that'd be pretty good stuff still. And if you go to the actual wet market, not really wet markets, local markets, like in Cebu City, if you go to Carbon, you can buy kilos and kilos and save a ton of money. I find Carbon to be about half the price of what you see in Metro or like Rustin's or other marketplace, actual big main chain grocery stores. So if you want to save money, if you have a house, if you can go through a lot of vegetables and such, go ahead and check out your local market instead of the grocery stores. Another person said, it depends. Do you plan to eat imported Western foods and frequent Starbucks and similar Western style eateries and coffee shops? Do you expect to live in a westernized part of town closer to what you're used to? Drive an expensive car? You can live very cheap or spend a lot of money. It all depends on you. The peso has fallen from 47 per dollar to 59 per dollar in the last 4 to 5 years. So things from America include US inflation plus tariffs plus the 20% change in currency. A couple excellent points made. It does come down to yourself. If you want Western style, Western standards, everything you had back home, you're gonna pay for it here. Just like any imported items back in the US, if you're or in Canada, right? If I want something authentic from Japan that's been imported, for example, I'm gonna pay extra for it. It's the same here. If you want the exact type of lifestyle here, it's gonna cost you pretty much the same as back home. Like a Starbucks coffee is $4 to $5, the same as it would be back home in Canada. Sometimes even more, like certain types of brands of sauces or maybe even chips of some kind, it's going to cost you $4 or $5, where in my hometown there's actually like a chip factory or it's making Lay's chips fresh. Like I would get batches that were made basically that week for $1.99, for example. So it really comes down to how much of that Western lifestyle you want here, and those prices have gone up. Excellent point with the peso exchange rate, the tariffs, and there's so many other factors that I personally do not know but are happening in the background. Somebody else mentioned corruption. That may be true, but it's got to be a bit more specific. Like, and I just don't know enough about that part of it. I know there are some like mafias where they control the price of certain goods coming in and out, and this has happened in the U.S. Actually, I saw a news article about it. I forgot which industry, but they all got together and basically agreed to make certain things about the same price. It's a big investigation. Let's not get into that. My point is, there's always those big major players that could also have a factor in the prices of everyday items. Another person says next year an increase in utilities will bring more hardship to ordinary people because this country is being run by elitists and oligarchs that don't care about the ordinary people. Just like any other country, the rich just keep getting richer, and utilities, one thing that really surprised me, people showing on Facebook groups and whatever, utility bills 16,000 pesos, more than the price of rent, right? So if you're someone like me that's in a constant state of heat, the air con is going to be running quite often. That's why whenever I travel, I make sure that the utilities is included in the price, all inclusive. I don't mind paying a couple thousand more, just knowing that I can run this bad boy as much as I want, without obviously taking advantage of the owner. I try to be respectful. Like right now, it's not on. Plus, I leave it on before I sleep, and as I fall asleep, I turn it off because I'm trying to like save the person money too. I'm not trying to purposely that's a whole different story. But utilities are quite pricey. They keep going up in Cebu City especially. So yeah, another thing to consider. Someone says you need to come here yourself for a trial period to decide. Remember, the Philippines is not for everyone. Yes, it is cheaper to live here, but prices are up. I've been living here about 6 months, a year since 2018, except for COVID year. You can do all the research you want, but until you come here and live here for at least 6 months, you won't know for sure if it's for you. Perfectly said. No one can tell you otherwise except for yourself. I would recommend spend some money on a flight, come out here for a few months, live the way you want to live, and see how much that's going to cost you. Like, of course, the first week or so, maybe just get accustomed to some of the tourist stuff and all that. But I recommend live in any style that you want to live here and see how much that's actually going to cost you, and then whether you can afford to be here, or if the price range is worth you giving up your home country to come visit here or live here. Let's read one more and I'll tell you guys what I think of this question. Yes, it's getting more expensive, but it depends hugely where you choose to live and the lifestyle you choose. If you want a city life in Manila with all the frills and conveniences of a Western lifestyle, yes, it will cost you. However, you can still easily survive much cheaper living in the provinces, especially growing your own produce and keeping a few animals. It's still much cheaper than the US, Europe, Australia, no problem, to survive on 700 or 1,000 USD a month. Remember, average wage here is still only somewhere around $350 a month. A couple good points, but if I was going to raise my own cattle and produce, I mean, I'll just live in the bushes, I guess, at that point. I'm just not a farmer. My point is, yeah, you can stretch that dollar as long as you want. And now for my personal thoughts regarding prices here in the Philippines. Personally, I'm not here in the Philippines to save money because this is not the country where I think, for my lifestyle, my life standards, and I'm not like a bougie kind of guy. My point is, let me just backtrack a little bit. So I think compared to Canada, the US, Australia, any European country, the Philippines is still a great value because here's the thing. It's still cheaper to rent here an apartment. Yeah, it's not as affordable as some neighboring countries, but compared to your home country, from the Western countries, it's still at least half the price, if not even more. For example, a studio like I'm at right now will cost me at least $2,000 in Canada minimum because this has furniture, internet, gym, pool, electricity, all utilities included, and I'm still coming in under 500 USD. Good luck trying to get that in Canada and Toronto and a basically prime location, right? It's not going to happen. So compared to Canada, it's very affordable. However, compared to Thailand, Vietnam, and maybe another couple countries in Southeast Asia, not so much. The Philippines is still expensive compared to those countries. I can get a place like this for probably $350 in Vietnam, probably about $400 in Thailand with much better facilities and all that stuff. So depends on what you're kind of comparing it to. I think the Philippines have seen at least 30 to 50% increase in general prices from 6 years ago when I first came here. So here are some things that are affordable in the Philippines still today. Taxis, very inexpensive here. You get a taxi, the meter, you can get about 2 or 3 kilometers for less than $2. And most things are going to be around that area, at least in Cebu City. So keep that in mind. Internet is cheaper, $2 a month, sorry, $2 a week. You can have 8 gigs, right? $8 a month. You can have, calls and internet, all that. That's not going to happen in Canada. What else is cheaper here? So we talked about transportation, accommodation, internet, right? There's so many things that are cheaper here. One thing that I think is a little bit overpriced is just like the Western stuff. So once again, if you want to live exactly like you did back home, you might have to pay similar prices because sure, you save money on rent, but when you consider all those Western goods you want to buy, you might come across, you'll still save money, but it may not be as cheap as you once thought it was. Utilities getting really expensive, so if you want the aircon going on all the time, those are some things. Like domestic flights are very affordable here. If you want to go check out a different island, very cheap. Some things that are, like I said, expensive I can think of off the top of my head would just simply be the cost of Western food, the cost of fruits and vegetables, the quality here sometimes if you want. Like, I mean, just from my perspective here, if you want good quality vegetables and fruits, you're going to have to pay that price, right? Things are also in season, right? Sometimes, for example, I was just in Guimaras in Iloilo, they wanted 450 pesos for mangoes, where in Thailand, it's 30 pesos, essentially, per kilo, or just like 45 pesos. So my point is about 1/10 of the price, but I don't know what season it is. I don't know what's special about those mangoes. I don't know if because I'm a tourist or a foreigner, clearly, visibly, obviously. There's a million different factors, right? So before you guys all get off just like getting crazy about your cost of living, yeah, everybody's different. You can save a lot of money if you want to live a local life, right? Go live somewhere that's not central, that's not air conditioned all day, every day, that doesn't have all the conveniences. You'll save a ton of money. There's people here retired on 400 bucks a month, 300 bucks a month. They can do it. So, and also Filipino people, the general public, I've mentioned several times, they don't have a very high salary and they're living just fine. So you can live here. It's just like, how much do you want to spend? I can go down there right now, sit at Abaca, pay $4.50 for brewed coffee, or I can make my ass some brewed coffee here for basically free, right? So imagine doing that every day for 30 days. It's 120 bucks at least I just spent on coffee alone once a day. And I could just do that for like $4 a month just from the same kind of filter system, right? So you got to pick and choose where you want to spend money. Personally, I didn't come to the Philippines to basically save money. Personally, if I wanted to save money, like specifically, I probably would not be in the Philippines. I also would not be right in the city center. I would also not be renting short term. There's a lot of things I'll be doing differently if I wanted to specifically save money. I'm here for the people. I'm here for the English. I'm here for the visa. I'm here for YouTube. I'm here for you guys. I'm here for like a whole bunch of different things, but not necessarily to save money, but it does help. I still save a ton of money here compared to living back in Canada. If I wanted to save money and that was my goal, I would probably be somewhere in like Vietnam or India or somewhere just completely, I don't know, random probably. You could save a lot of money in Laos, I'm sure, if you live somewhere random. But like, I'm here for those reasons I mentioned. So that's it. Those are my thoughts. Leave yours down below. What do you think? Have things gone up in price in the Philippines? Give me some range. Give me some numbers. How long have you been here? What's the most expensive thing? Anything you want to share? You guys have been great in the comment section. I've noticed in the past month or so, everybody's just sharing their opinions, their thoughts. It's really a positive area, even though like we might have difference of opinions. People tend to be very respectful in the comment section, so I really appreciate that, guys. So thank you for that. If you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button, ask any question, share your thoughts. If you take the time to write it, I'll take the time to respond. And that's it. I'm gonna get out there, enjoy my Saturday. I'm gonna get some random food. I'm gonna try some new cafes. I'm gonna talk to some ladies outside for my street interviews. If you guys want to see the latest one, actually I just interviewed an anime, like an e-gamer chick in the Philippines. I'll call her chick. A lovely young lady. So take a look at that. I'll leave the link in the description or the comment section. You guys can check it out. See you next time. Bye.